Hey guys, welcome to another talk. The title of the class today, The Tall Stories We Tell Ourselves. Today, I'll be talking about the third factor on the Noble Eightfold Path, right speech. Okay, all right. Some years ago, a fellow called Bill was at the arrival terminal at the airport looking for his fiancée. Where is she? Where is she? And he didn't realize it, but he was about to have a life-transforming experience. So while he was looking for his fiancée among all the passengers coming down, he saw this fellow, good-looking fellow, walking towards him with two light bags in his hands. And the guy walked towards him and stopped just about 10 feet away to greet his family. His wife carrying a little baby and two sons. All of them were happy to see him, ecstatic. So he first motioned his younger son to him, gave him a hug, kissed him, shared a few words with him, and then he called his other son, the older one. They did the same thing, hugging and kissing and talking a little bit. Then he stood up, took the baby from his wife's hand, cuddled. The little thing was squirming with joy. Kishy wishy. And then he gave that child to his older boy. Here, hold him for a minute. And then he turned to his wife and hugged her and kissed her, and they exchanged beautiful words together. And Bill was just gaping at all this. So just by reflex, he walked up to them and he asked, I'm sorry, I'll be getting married soon. I'd just like to know how long you guys have been married. And the fellow said, oh, we've been together 14 years. Out of that, 12 years of marriage. Really? Yep, 12 years. And how long have you been away for? And the fellow said, 3 whole days. 3 days? This is the welcome you're getting after 3 days? Yep. So Bill says, I really hope that if I'm married for 12 years, or when I'm married for 12 years, I hope my marriage is as passionate as yours is. And that's when the fellow eyeballed him and said, my friend, you should never hope for such things. Wishful thinking doesn't work for anybody. You need to make sure that it is so. You need to do whatever you can to make it so. Hoping that your marriage will last for 12 years and it'll be passionate. No hoping. You got to do what it takes. Yeah. Have a good day. There was Bill, transfixed. Something went deep into his cranium. Life transformed. Many of us hope for a beautiful life. We long for a beautiful life, don't like suffering. And yet, it's very difficult, if not impossible, for us to experience a brilliant life for as long as we cling tooth and nail to our prejudices and opinions. So this class is on right speech, which means the narratives we feast on and help others to join our feast. Okay, right. So tell me, what's the difference between being opinionated and having an opinion? Difference? Do you know difference? Being opinionated implies an obstinate, adhering to, clinging to preconceived notions about ourselves and the world we live in that have no bearing on reality. Yeah? Once again, being opinionated is the obstinate, staunch, obstinate adhering to preconceived notions about ourselves and the world we live in that have no bearing on reality. It's all gobbledygook. So it's about time we realized that we're not Nostradamus. We are not Nostradamus, predicting things quite accurately. Yeah? Our preconceived notions, our unexamined assumptions about ourselves and the world rarely give us an accurate picture of the world we live in. Rarely. These unexamined assumptions are causing us a lot of stress and suffering. And that is why they need to be questioned on a regular basis as often as possible. Because if we do not question these unexamined opinions, assumptions, they chain us, shackle us to all forms of wrongdoing. And wrongdoing, as I've said in several classes, equates with suffering. No two ways about it. All right? The tall stories we tell ourselves. In layman's terms, the bullshit we feed on daily. Yeah, we need to let go of that. Manure is not helping us. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. Here, in this corner, ladies and gentlemen, still undefeated, is Diane. Yes, Diane, still undefeated. Here she is with her staunch notions about life being unfair. Yep, no bearing on reality. There she is, clinging to those notions. And in this corner, ladies and gentlemen, we have Nicole. Yes, also Birdie's hot stuff. Nicole has 100% truth-proof beliefs about her unworthiness. Isn't that fantastic, ladies and gentlemen? Both these babes are world class in the bullshit they cling to. So who's going to be the winner this time? Think about it. Life is unfair. Really? You're unworthy. Really? When we're opinionated, we're not interested in the truth. Nope. Our interest is in affirming our fantasies. Gobbledygook. Yeah, when we're opinionated, we're definitely not interested in the truth or facts, for that matter. What we're interested in is to affirm the rightness of our opinions. We want to believe what we want to believe, not what is true. And it creates so much suffering on the planet. So much. In 1895, long ago, Lord Kelvin, mathematician, physicist, and the president of the Royal Society, proclaimed to his audience on several occasions, "Hey guys, it is totally absurd to believe that machines that are heavier than air could possibly fly. Bullshit. And those who are gifted with intelligence, they ought to apply themselves to saner pursuits." Yeah, opinionated. Lord Kelvin, 1895. Machines heavier than air can never fly. Absurd. Mathematician, physicist, president of the Royal Society. Authoritative misinformation. Just a few days after his pronouncement, the Wright brothers powered their first flight powered engine over a windswept beach called Kitty Hawk in North Carolina. Just a few days later, they were flying their plane, and here's this guy talking rubbish. And not just that, these fellows, once they got the hang of making an aircraft, they started perfecting it. And for 5 long years, they flew their aircraft over the landscape, over major highways, train tracks, and people in the trains commuting to work and back maybe were reading newspapers that were consistently declaring the fact that machines heavier than air could never fly, but they're seeing them fly. And yet, the experts continued to deny the reality in front of them. That's being opinionated. It blocks us. It blocks us in massive ways, especially towards awakening. Opinionated, not a good idea. So, unless we approach and respond to life from a wiser perspective, the light we see at the end of the tunnel is most likely going to be an oncoming train that will run right over us. What is this oncoming train? What is this light that we see? The person we choose to marry. Based on opinions, based on assumptions. We're not really checking out if the compatibility is really there. We're not really checking out their character. We're just rushing straight in. The light, wow, lovely being, turns into a nightmare before we know it. Countless marriages failed. Why? They got together on the basis of opinions, not facts. Think of the people, the countless number of people who choose their vocations or careers based on the glitter of money, power, name, fame, power, position, end up in bypass surgeries, riddled with illnesses. The train at that light. Wow, nice job, nice house, can turn into a nightmare. And then there is also our chosen lifestyle. We do what we want, as we want, when we want. We gobble crap, drink poisons. Chosen lifestyle. We're free to do what we want. We don't need anybody to tell us. Light at the end of the tunnel. Oncoming train. Hospitals are filled with people who chose to live in a manner that was totally unconscious. Prisons. Lordy Lord. Unless we approach and respond to life in a manner that is worthy of us, we are heading for a disaster. Narratives. Oh, this person is so great. Oh, this job is so hot stuff. Oh, I can do whatever I want. This is not a well-considered life. It's an unconscious form of living that leads to disaster. So, my dear friends, tell me, what is an opinion? Yeah, what's an opinion? An opinion is a judgment formed or a conclusion reached more often on sentiment, prejudice, probability, or conjecture, guesswork, not on factual accuracy. Okay, opinions. They're influenced primarily by sentiment, prejudice, probability, or conjecture, not factual accuracy. Not all opinions are faulty, and not all opinions are bad. The majority are. Because most opinions are conjecture or guesswork, it's best to ratify them or verify them against the light of the Dharma. If they're not in accordance with what is true in this world, they will lead to suffering. Life is unfair. Suffering. I am not good enough. Suffering. Yeah? Right. Let's look at a few unexamined assumptions or the tall stories we tell ourselves. We feast on daily. Okay, let's take a look. Think of the number of people who view illnesses, relationship fiascos, and struggles in their workplace as being something that comes from out there. Yeah, my illness, I have this and I have that. Really? You're not accountable? No? Okay. Wakey, wakey. Relationship fiascos. Think of the couples who believe that it is their partner who needs therapy. They're fine. They're perfectly okay. It's the partner who's a nutcase. Think of the people in the workplace who blame their boss, but not themselves for fiddling and surfing on the net and not doing their work. Yeah, all the difficulties that we experience in life For as long as we believe that these difficulties arise from external factors, what are we doing to ourselves? We are choosing to live in victim consciousness. Victim consciousness. I'm innocent. I didn't deserve this illness. I didn't deserve this relationship fiasco. Why is life so difficult? For as long as we believe that our difficulties have arisen from external sources, we live in victim consciousness. When we live in victim consciousness, then we're waiting for the external world to fall into place before we can be happy. But hey, we're all gifted with tremendous resources for living an extraordinary life. But when personal refinement is not on the radar, victim consciousness will be there, big time. Not skillful thinking or speech patterns. Yeah, told stories. Let's look at another one. Think of the countless number of people on the planet, including you, possibly, who believe that the way we see things is the way they are. This guy is an idiot, and life is like that. I am this way. Yeah, the way we see things is the way they are. Really? Really? Wiki? Think of how many centuries people believed the earth was flat, because that's what they saw. Look, horizon. Earth is flat. You cannot say anything else. If we go to the horizon, we will fall off. Think of that. Think of how many people were persecuted by the church, which knew everything, because they started to tell us that we're not at the center of the universe. The sun is not going around us. We are going around the sun. What? Put him in prison. Opinionated. Yeah, told stories. The way we see things is definitely not the way they are. Unless you open third eye, you're not seeing. You're imagining. You're living in virtual reality. As I've said earlier, we're not localized beings. We are dimensionless, profound beyond measure. But the way we see things, we see separateness in the world. That's not how it is in actual fact. Yeah? Okay. Third one. Third gobbledygook that we feast on daily. Think of the number of people on the planet who are so convinced that only if they had enough money and name and fame and power and position, pleasures, that's nirvana. Yes. Really? But then, why is it that those who have achieved name, fame, power, position, and lots of money, why is it that they're trading prescriptions for tranquilizers with their friends? Yeah. Hey, buddy, I tried this tranquilizer, it didn't work. I found another one. You should try it also. You can sleep better in the night. Why? Those who've made it go into rehab. Many of them go into psychological counseling. Money didn't help. Power and fame didn't help. And so many of them also too many drugs, too much alcohol, early rebirth. That's not nirvana, baby. Awareness leads to it. Not external realities, internal realities. The tall stories we tell ourselves. We all long for things to be different. Yeah? We're not quite happy with our health, relationships, work scenario, circumstances around us. We're not satisfied. We all long for things to be different. And yet, we refuse to do things differently. Isn't that fascinating stuff? We want things to be different, but we are resistant, totally resistant towards doing things differently. Why? Because we live in the realm of the absurd. Yeah, deep in the zombie forest. Realm of the absurd. We're not willing to shift ourselves or our behavior patterns. And so we keep experiencing the same tragic reality in terms of our health, relationships, work, and social friction. Please understand that all thinking is basically information processing. You're processing the information you're receiving from your senses, 5 physical senses. The way I see things is the way they are. Now, what happens when the information on which we base our most important choices are connected to a faulty worldview? What happens when the information we are relying on to be happy is basically anchored in a faulty worldview? Do we get a happy harvest? No, not happy. Suffering. The light we see at the end of the tunnel is an oncoming train. Better jump off the tracks. Are you understanding, please? When we are one-sided in our thinking patterns, one-sided, just the way I see things is the way they are. We are always blindsided by life's curveballs because we can't see them coming. We're not prepared for them. Why? Because our expectations are faulty. I believe I make enough money and I have name, fame, power, position, one-sided opinion, boom. Bypass surgery, ulcers, cancers, this thing, that thing, migraine, blindsided. We need a wider understanding of life. We need a worldview that actually enhances our well-being. Doesn't take us into the prison or into the hospital or into the court. Divorce, fighting, bitter. Look at the suffering on the planet. Look closely and you will see, like Sherlock Holmes, look for the clues, faulty opinions that get people into these difficult scenarios. Faulty, unexamined opinions. self-limiting opinions. Yeah? Time to wake up. Zombie forest, not the right place to hang out. Okay, let's take a look at just how powerful these narratives can be. Sometimes for the better, but most times for the worse. Yeah? Narratives. Thinking is narrative, self-talk. Speech is narrative, verbal talk. Yeah, exchanging your thoughts with other people. Some years ago, some fellows got together to perform this experiment. And the best way to get some guinea pigs for these experiments is in colleges and universities, where people are happy to sell their souls for a little bit of cash. So they rounded up a few university students, 13, just 13, paid them a little money for a little experiment. And what was the experiment? They said to them, hey, buddy, we want to see what happens to your arm. What happens to you, basically, if we rub some poison ivy, some leaves of poison ivy on your arm? We just want to see what goes on. You willing to do it? Yeah, for a few dollars more, we'll do it. We'll bear the pain. So those 13 guys put their arms there, blindfolded. We couldn't see what the shrub was, what the plant was. They were just told it's poison ivy, blindfolded. And they rubbed up and down poison ivy, what they thought was poison ivy, which was just a harmless shrub, just a plant, harmless. What happened? All 13 of them broke out in a rash, itching and boils, the symptoms of poison ivy poisoning. All 13, harmless shrub. But the narratives in their head, oh God, I hope it doesn't hurt so much. Oh, all 13 broke out in a rash. Isn't that fascinating? Placebo effects, that's how they work also. Then these guys went over, rounded up another 13 beings. But this time, they chose 13 fellows, men and women, who are highly allergic to poison ivy. Allergic, yeah? Woof. Blindfolded them, told them, listen guys, we found this strange shrub. We want to see the properties of this shrub when we rub it on the skin. Okay, you guys do it, good, here's your bucks. Just stay with it. Okay, gave their arm. And this time, they actually used poison ivy. All 13 were allergic, highly allergic to it. And yet, only 2 broke out in a rash. The others, nothing happened because they believed it was a harmless shrub. They believed narratives, told stories we tell ourselves, power of the mind. Even though highly allergic, no symptoms, none. Can you imagine just how powerful we are? And yet, we do not make the time to learn how to channel this power in a manner that serves us. We live in victim consciousness. most of our lives. It's tragic. So unless we make the time to refine ourselves and to view life from a higher perspective, the gobbledygook we feed on day in and day out will always get the better of us. So we will live in fear and doubts and insecurities. Why? We're not in touch with our power, even though it's right there. We're not in touch with it. Hallelujah. Living in the realm of the absurd, where we believe that personal refinement maybe later, not now. Now I have to make money. Here's another brilliant example. But this time, well, let me not give away the story. Alan, let's call him Alan, okay? Or the Al had an illness. Guess where it came from? Yeah, of course, out there. He had tried all kinds of therapies, natural therapies, unnatural therapies. Okay, became vegan, became vegan. Nothing helped. He was about to pop. He finally landed up in hospital. Illness, excruciating. And his friend came to visit and said to him, look, Alan, brother, you've tried everything. Okay, you've tried everything. It's not working, buddy. Okay, look at you, suffering like that, squirming like a fish out of water, squirming like this. Why don't you enlist the help of this legendary healer I've been telling you about? He does distant healing all over the country. He doesn't have to be right there. Just have to summon him, commission him, pay his fees. Boom. I've given you his website. Look at it again. What's your problem, buddy? So Alan, seeing that nothing else had worked, he decided to look at the website again. And he saw the testimonials of all the beings that this fellow had healed, distance, just power. Remember what I said earlier? We're not localized beings. We're one. Seamless reality. We're one. Yeah, distance, time, all illusory stuff. So he finally was convinced that this was his last hope, and this guy had it in him to heal him. So he commissioned him, paid his fees, and got a call from him. Yeah, you want me to do some healing for you? Yes, buddy, I'm suffering. There has to be surgery tomorrow. I don't want to go in for that surgery. Please, can you do something for me? And the healer said, buddy, rest assured, there will be no surgery. At present, I'm a little busy, but this evening, I will send you the healing. Okay, guaranteed. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. So then that night, Alan slept quietly with the assurance that the healing was going to come right through. In the morning, when he woke up, he felt no pain in his body. He felt energized. When the doctor came to examine him, there were no symptoms of his illness, none. He was totally cured. Totally. Distance healing. Fascinating stuff. There are those who have that power. Now, because he was healed, the doctors discharged him That very day, you scuttled off home. They needed the bed for another patient. Now, this would have been another fascinating healing that this person had performed, except for one little detail. And what was the detail? In the busyness of overwork, the healer had completely forgotten to send the healing. Can you believe that? He had forgotten to send the healing. And yet, Brother Al was fit as a horsey. Horsey. Yeah? Strong as a horse. How did that happen? How did that happen? Power was in the healer. The power is in us. Brother Al, total faith that he would be healed. The narratives, although it was conjecture, although it was guesswork in a sense, he had implicit faith in the healer. He had a higher perception of the healer and his abilities. And it was that higher perception, there's a complete faith, no doubt, no hoping, that healed him, not the healer. Hallelujah. So opinions can work for us when they are in alignment with what is true. He had faith in the healer. What's true? But somehow, just in that faith, he healed himself. Fascinating stuff that's going on in the world. For us to wake up to the fact of just how profound we are, just what we can achieve in this precious human life before we pop, it is imperative for us to make time to know our strengths, to be in touch with the brilliant resources we are born with. We have them. We just don't have the access codes. We get the access codes through the study and practice of the Dharma. No access code, you cannot open computer. You've forgotten password. But the computer has everything there, but it's useless if you don't have the password. We need the password, the access code to know our strengths. And access code is accessed through the diligent study and practice of the Dhamma. All right. It's imperative for us to know our strengths and to share our strengths with the world around us. Because if we do not make time to know our strengths, then we will, by default, live two lives when we should be living just one. What are these two lives? Living two lives, Master B, what is it? It's the life we are living and the unlived life. What does that mean, Master B? Between the two stand our cherished, unexamined, self-diminishing, self-destructive opinions, the life we're living, and the unlived life. And between the two are those gobbledygook things that we believe in, the bullshit. So what is this unlived life? It is a life we are dishonoring. It is the life we are denying, neglecting. Why? Because of our fears, doubts, insecurities. I can't do this. I must take this job because I will never find one which I can really love to do. I must get married here because I don't like being lonely. Lord, oh Lord. Yeah. It's the life, the unlived life is the life we are denying, overlooking, dishonoring, all because of the fears, doubts, and insecurities that percolate in our consciousness based on a faulty worldview. Being untrue to ourselves, please understand, being untrue to ourselves, what is finest in us, is the most potent, self diminishing force on the planet. Self diminishing. It is the cause of more disharmony and misery and distress than poverty, illness, and even relationship fiascos. Yeah, poverty does cause us stress. Illness causes us stress. Relationship fiascos, but it's nothing. All those difficulties are nothing in comparison to living an unlived life, being untrue to ourselves. The cause of most suffering on the planet? Because people are living two lives when they should have been living or should be living just one, in honor of what is finest in them. So when we allow these cherished, unexamined, self-depreciating, self-destructive opinions to get the better of us, these pernicious frequencies drive us towards a smooth, hassle-free existence. Yeah. But in this smooth, hassle-free existence, expediency, this is the kind of existence we should never have chosen for ourselves. Never. We don't want to travel along smooth roads. We need some little bit challenges to get our backbone in place. Yeah, we travel on smooth roads towards a destination we should never have chosen for ourselves, because that destination breeds suffering. What destination is this? How often do you look up at the night sky? How often do you look up at the night sky to see the dazzling beauty out there shining? Ah, the glory of creation. Stars sparkling in the darkness. How often do you look at that? Once in a while? Okay. If this view of this brilliant magnificence was something that would happen maybe once in every 100 years, people would flock to watch that magnificence. But because it's there every day, every night, people take it for granted. Who cares? I've seen it once, I've seen it twice, who gives a damn? Yeah. Jaded. As we age, things become more and more boring. Yeah, we're not satisfied with life. Of all the people we could meet that could enhance our growth and well-being, we stay with friends who are as mediocre as we are. Of all the interests that could enhance our joy, we're not interested in any of that. We're interested in Netflix. Once again, as we age, we narrow the scope of all things that could allow us to blossom into our best. Of all the people we could meet that could nurture us in ways that are spectacular, we settle for friends who are as mediocre as we are. Of all the interests we could pursue that could broaden our perspective on the world we live in, we're not interested in any of that. Netflix is what we want, and the shopping sprees and more money. When we shut ourselves off, from all those enriching realities that could uplift us, how can we possibly experience a remarkable life? How is it possible? No can do. What happens to someone who goes to the doctor for his checkup and the doctor tells him, hey buddy, your report is not very promising. So sorry to tell you, but you are going to pop off in just 3 months. What happens to someone who's diagnosed with a terminal illness that will put him on the space shuttle within 3 months? What happens to that person? Well, the moment he realizes that the end is very near, the moment, within 60 seconds or less, all the things that mattered to him no longer matter. And all the things which he thought were secondary take on primary importance. Like this. Yeah? The assumptions that person lived upon for most of his life are seriously questioned. Yep. Things that were important, no longer important. Things that were not so important become important. That's what happens when life pushes us against the wall, tells us to wake up. It's time you woke up, buddy. Stop living in zombie mode. That's when the person recognizes the fact that the deal which he was about to go to this weekend to make more money is not important. Better for him to go and attend his grandson's graduation instead. That's important. But before it was not important. Now it is. He realizes just how absurd it is to have the last word when he's having an argument with his spouse. Not realized, not required. More important is to tell her just how much he loves her and what she means to him, and to apologize for living in a state of arrogance for most of his life. Other thoughts also come and percolate into his consciousness. when he knows he's about to pop. What happened? What happened to that passion I had for music? My guitar is in the garage, has been lying there for decades. I wanted to learn it, never had the time. Maybe I should learn how to play before I pop. And then he realizes also what happened to my passion that I would someday teach the young guys around me towards making better life decisions, how to live a vibrant, meaningful life, and not to chase after money, money, money. What happened to that passion? It is also in cold storage. When death and trauma, when death and trauma are close at hand, our unexamined assumptions are seriously questioned. We don't question them when things are fine. Only when they get really rough, that's when we start to question things. Have I been living well? Have I been living a well-considered life? Or have I lived in the zombie forest for way too long? When these unexamined assumptions are seriously questioned, these pernicious views we've been clinging to for almost our entire life and the difficulties they've caused us, all these things melt like snowballs on a hot stove when we seriously question our cherished, unexamined, self-diminishing opinions. Yeah. So when heart intelligence instead of head intelligence is employed, that's when we come closer to understanding the nature of reality and our place in it. We're not here to live like a locust, consuming, and not giving anything of value back. You're not a locust, Bobby. No, no, no. Once that transformation takes place in our consciousness, when it really takes place in our consciousness, the wildest things happen. That's when many people experience spontaneous remission. Illness gone. They're not popping off 3 months. They're popping off when their time comes a few years down the line. Not only does their terminal illness fade away completely, when they change, their reality changes, but all the other things that were neglected fall into place beautifully. Their relationships improve, finances improve, everything improves because they have improved. No more tall stories, short stories, true stories. Yeah? Right speech. Right the speech. We all know. We're not that dumb. We all know deeply. That's called conscience. We all know the values we are being unfaithful to day in and day out. We know. So our suffering, please understand, is not based on ignorance. We're not ignorant. We're just choosing to look the other way. Yeah? Our suffering is not based on ignorance. Our suffering arises from dishonoring what life calls us to be and to do. Extremely dangerous. When we dishonor what life calls us to be and to do, we live two lives. Living two lives, head-on collision with disaster. Natural law cannot be transgressed. So the only way to rectify this situation is through the study and the practice of the Dhamma. No other choice. So sorry. Not Netflix, not shopping sprees, not money. Clarity, spiritual clarity. This boundless universe offers us countless opportunities every single day. Oh, boundless, benevolent universe offers us countless opportunities every day to learn how to bloom into our best. But for us to recognize and to utilize these opportunities, precious opportunities, we need to let go of the tall stories we tell ourselves. Because for as long as our mind is held hostage to our prejudices and opinions, we live in a very limited consciousness. A consciousness that propels us towards wrongdoing. And the wrongdoing is equated with suffering. So, to know what can yet be possible for us to experience life at its best, we need to wake up. We need a strong resolve to wake up. Get it? Okay. Stay well. Stay happy. Till the next class. Hallelujah.